Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to get into our Scott short questions. The question, I'm going to do it more basically. I mean, it wrote it basically here so you get the idea. Let me say what Audrey said. And I was like, can you explain this a little bit more? And so here's what she was talking about. She goes, over the last 5 years, I've seen a push in Amazon everything, even saying we are the face of Amazon. Um, and she was talking about as a USPS employee. That's just not normal. I've seen scanner upgrades that never work, computer systems that are a struggle weekly, the rec systems, which must be the delivery systems from rural routes, are a nightmare trying to figure out how to pay rural carriers. So basically, and I'm seeing that, by the way, too, from all the different source points. Okay. I mean, FedEx, Amazon, everything else, right? So USPS is literally hiring anyone off the streets without checking their background. Oh, big problem. The entire postal system is crashing fast, but the uptick of the Amazon parcels is killing the employees and the trucks. So, meaning that they're having to pick up some of that slack point here. So, let's talk a little bit about what occurs in there because we're seeing an interesting push in the next campaign of Trump to have this issue. So let's watch this little video here.
Like Trump is considering privatization. Jeff Locke in Philadelphia. All right, Jeff. Now, we know the Postal Service lost $100 billion since '07. Tell me how much they lost in 2024.
Oh, you're always so concerned with money. I don't understand it. $10 billion, by the way, but who's counting, for crying out loud? Well, apparently the once and future president is counting, and Mr. Trump says he is thinking about, well, he hasn't said it publicly, but reports say he is thinking about privatizing the Postal Service. According to the Washington Post, actually, he has talked with his incoming, or at least potential incoming Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, about privatizing the service and saying he doesn't think that the company or the Postal Service should be subsidized anymore. As you point out, they lost a lot of money, but hey, they've got a big mandate. Take a look at these numbers. 167 million addresses that it is mandated it must deliver to. 500,000 career employees to do that, and 31,000 properties owned or leased around the country. But it delivers 44% of all of the world's mail. Pretty impressive. Yeah, you mentioned 100 billion.
So in essence, we have a government agency with a very big mandate. I mean, this is a very difficult mandate, but we have something that is massively mismanaged. Which, that's everything that the government does. This is one of the reasons why the fundamental nature of Democrats, and frankly, some of the rhinos who love doing this, is that we need to have government do this for us. And when I hear like the Z and the Y generation saying, well, you don't want the government doing this for me? No, I almost don't want the government doing anything. There are some basic points the government's supposed to do is a military source, a policing source, a justice system. Now, frankly, those things have to be revamped completely as well. But why do they have to deliver mail? Why not privatize it? Maybe there was a time that that might be very effective, but it obviously is not. Let's give you a couple of the reasons why they're happening out there.
We just got, Project Veritas, we just got contacted by the Office of the Inspector General, who is aware of this video inside the post office in Michigan, and the whistleblower, who's discussing, showing how the ballots were backdated to November 3rd, even though they were accepted November 4th. Huge update. The Inspector General tells us they're aware of this. It falls under their jurisdiction. They're assessing whether to investigate. This whistleblower in Michigan is a patriot and a hero. He doesn't fear retaliation. He cares more about his country and what they're doing illegally there in Michigan, counting the votes illegally, than he cares about his own well-being and safety.
And I've been talking about this quite a bit. I mean, we know that there are numerous videos of these people taking votes and changing them. This is what they do. This is how it's done. And so these people are getting massive amounts of money, or at least enough money, just individual post office workers, career post office people. Well, guess what happens when you privatize this? And we'll talk about that. But I want you to think about that on the background when you privatize a whole industry of mail carriers with that too. Let's talk about this one.
A watchdog at the United States Postal Service found a growing number of mail thieves are postal employees. In a withering report, the Office of the Inspector General says criminals are infiltrating the federal workforce.
Isn't that exactly what Audra said? You know, they're hiring people off the street for anything. What are they doing? Let's talk about this one.
Mr. Chairman, we'll start with Ms. Polling. This is your second term, I believe. Over the last 4 years, Congress has given USPS $120 billion. How much money will we lose this year, and what's the projection for the fiscal year right now?
I appreciate the question. I think probably the best people to ask that question is the Postal Service. I want to make sure I get you the right number. We lost, right, $6.5 billion last year, the Postal Service, which is very concerning.
Like, first off, if I ran my business this way, I'd be done. How do you fix this? First off, it's really pretty simple. I mean, listen, a business owner, and I'm going to tell you as a business owner myself, if I were in the middle of this situation, and by the way, I have done this with my own situations. I've actually done this with offices that I've had, with operation points that I've created, and I've also done this with takeovers. And by the way, business owners know how to do it. Basically, what they look at is they go, you know what? They give it a little time. Sometimes you give something a few years to kind of get something off the ground, especially something big. You infuse it with enough cash to get it going. You have to do things. You have to spend way more time on the smaller portion, the addition to your office or the addition to your systems, than you would of the primary one that's already running in and of itself. You give it the cash to be able to get going. You give it the resources, and then you know what? After a few years, if you find out this thing is just a money loser and you've done a million different things to fix the money loser, you cut the snot out of it. From 2007, they're $100 billion in the hole. Like, come on. That's, what is that, 15 years right now, or, well, pushing on 18 years ago. From 18 years, you got $100 billion of loss. I mean, it's kind of stupid. Last year was the worst level of loss, and most of that is because gas is so dramatically higher, and the cost of, buying tires. I was looking at tires. I remember years ago, and listen, this is a while ago. When you used to buy a set of tires was $400, right? You thought of a $100 tire was a big deal. Recently, I was quoted $1,000 for tires. I mean, like, just sitting there going, whoa, I'm going to hold on and figure out, that price a little bit more. But I'm sure I can probably knock it down. Can't get it to $400. And it's because, prices have driven up really dramatically over the years, and worse in the Biden inflation timeframe. How do you fix this? Super simple. If you have, you take it out of the federal people's hands, you take away the mail fraud that happens from stealing, because, the company goes, I'm not going to let you steal from this. So frankly, they're not going to hire these people who are stealing. We know who they are. They're in the sealed indictments. We're not going to allow the people who've been doing the voting fraud issues. directly through the USPS and frankly through FedEx and other ones out there. Those ones are going to find, wait a second, and we're not going to get federal monies. We have to run this on our own capabilities. Now, whoever takes that over is going to have some abilities, some infusion of cash to start this thing going, and have the capabilities of going, you know what, we're going to hire back a certain number of those people. But you're going to have to be competitive in the job. You're going to have to do it efficiently. And when has that actually happened in many of the government agencies? They never do anything efficiently. So you got the low-end person, the low-end worker of the DMV, and pick the one who gets all the guff, gets paid nothing, and then after a while they're just so jaded by the systems that they're just like, I gotta quit. Or they don't even care about the person anymore because they have this guaranteed job and they just have to live with the guff. That's not the way to run things, right? When we privatize those things, most of the things that the government does, what happens, you go, I'm taking it out of your hands anymore. And we're going to run it efficiently. And then what happens is the taxpayer goes, you know what? You never needed any of that money anyway. That's why we have the IRS death. We'll have tariffs that be able to pay for things. And then a national sales tax is going to be able to pay for things. And the states are going to get to pick that. Now you might go, well, I don't want to pay national sales tax. Well, maybe you won't have to on most things. Chill out for a little bit. But realize when you privatize it, it is the fix. Hope that helps you out. Thanks so much.